Golf fans, welcome to another episode of Podcast in Regulation. I'm your host, RP. As always, please follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Pod in Regulation. The Facebook fan page is Podcast in Regulation, and email is podcastinregulation@gmail.com. Today is Wednesday, October 29th. I'm trying to get this out there as early as I can for you, but overall, you'll probably still see the picks even before you hear this. But tonight starts the October 30th tournament for the Kuala Lumpur Golf and Country Club host for the Maybank Championship. So I'm trying to get all this out early. You won't see me covering any DP World Tour this week. It's just too much on my plate as of right now, but I definitely had time to pick and choose and analyze the ladies this week for, well, trends and obviously who's going to win. Turned out pretty well last week, but we'll get into that in a second. We do have call it 2.5 weeks to catch up on. So we're going to jump right into it. The Open de España. We went 0 for 4 for first round leaders. Didn't really put a lot on it, but the total that we spent that week was $13.25. And then moving on to the Buick. Oh, that reminds me. Someone did point out that I use the same template from a couple weeks ago, which is true. I use the same template every time, but I just change the colors, change the tournament, obviously. But last week, which should have been the BMW, which you would have figured out anyway, I had labeled the Buick Shanghai. So there were 2 weeks. Looks like there were 2 weeks of the Buick Shanghai, but if you look at the dates by themselves, obviously the Buick Shanghai Part 2, which should have been the BMW, came out the week of the proper tournament. So yeah, thank you for pointing that out. I really should take notice of that a lot more because, again, sometimes it is copy and paste for the number of lines and the number of bets going on, but I do change everything else. I even changed the color on it. You can see that, but I didn't change the name of the tournament. So for the Buick itself, we went Ginu Thidikul and Jennifer Kupcho finishing in the top 10. Ginu finishes at 10 under or something like that. And then she was a $15.50 bet at minus 163. So return on that was nice. It was $25.01. Missed out on our two top fives with Nasahara Oka and Heijin Choi. And then in the three ball group betting, we had Arya Jurtanagarn at plus 130. Took her over Gabby Lopez and Esther Henseleit. So Arya Jurtanagarn brings us in $37.95 from a $16.50 bet. She went 70, Gabby Lopez went 72, and Esther Henseleit went 73. So pretty easy there. The next group betting, unfortunate, we missed it by one, although I can't really fault her. We took Gino at $11.75 for plus 137 payout. Day one, she went 65, and props to Minji Lee, she went 65 also. Those two had absolutely shut the door on ruining yen on day one. So that was a push minus the juice, so I got that back. Between those and then this past week with the BMW, I had thrown out, you probably saw, five bets. Let's take a look at that. Still ended up on the proper side of it, but yeah, it was 4 names out there. But we did pick Sei Young Kim. She was a plus 1,800, and she had, I had put $7.25 on her. So payout for her was $137.75. So overall record from those 2.5 weeks, we're looking at going 3 and 4. Remember, I cluster everything in terms of wins or single rounds of first round leaders and overall winners as one, because it's more of a shotgun. As long as you hit one of them, you're bound to collect more than the odds that you had put down. So on the table for the past 2.5 weeks, we were at $100.14 flat. And then the return was $212.46, meaning we made $98.46 over the last few weeks. Like I said, overall record 3 and 4. So that brings our total season record to be 67 and 176. And the bankroll is at $1,116.67. So not too shabby. I gotta go back. I'm not sure if we started out flat and we're at 1,000 to begin the season, it's been so up and down, or if we just kind of built off last year. My guess would have been building off last year, but I'll double check on that. Either way, we've got quite a bit of money to play with, and that brings us to this week's championship for the Maybank. So let's take a preview at that and kind of rationalize who I'm going to leave out and who I'm going to put in. So let's start with faves and fades. And in putting together the faves and fades, you already know we do a little bit of a course preview. We're playing at Kuala Lumpur's Golf and Country Club. It is a par 72, and we'll be playing this week at 6,536 yards. So you get a pretty average width in terms of the fairways. You get a lot of undulating hills right up on the fairways, right around landing marks for a lot of the players. So nothing too bad there. The smart placed bunkers, I don't know if you call them smart placed or more annoying. There are some that guard the middle of the fairways. So depending on where you're looking at setting up for shot 2, you may be in a bunker, and there are some tight lips on those bunkers that are coming up and rising up against the next hill if it is an uphill kind of climb for a hole. And then you're looking at the bigger part, I think, other than weather, and we'll get to that in a second, are the tree line fairways. So you get a fairly decent wide angle to get to landing spots, and then hopefully being able to get a good look at the green. But if you're not there, these trees will wreak a little bit of havoc. Scrambling is definitely a premium type of stat to look at this week. And oddly enough, someone like Celine Boutier, who's 9th, is on my radar. You'll hear her in faves this week. But I think that's something that is going to be really important. 2023, 2024, the previous winners were something like 3rd, 2nd, and 3rd. And then even the runner-ups were in the 4th or 7th range. So that's going to play a big part, especially when trying to deal with what's looking like in terms of weather, a lot of humidity, occasional thunderstorms. But as I've been keeping track of the weather, it looks like it may have backed off a little bit. So some intense thunderstorms throughout, but maybe not as many or not as bad as they could be. Especially with some of the coverage they were showing what could be, it looks like maybe they'll miss and catch a little bit of a tail end of some of those storms that come through. So still going to have to deal with it, but it's not going to be anywhere as bad as what it potentially looked like from just a couple days ago. So yeah, humidity, thunderstorms, we'll see how receptive the greens are, how tough it gets to really get your ball rolling down a fairway, if they stick, if they're fried eggs, or if they're just not going to go anywhere and pretty much what you're carrying is what you got. So that'll be interesting. With the regards to the course, nothing's overly difficult. Short grass in a lot of the fairways and the rough, but again, it's already being covered and being protected by the bunkers that they've thrown at certain points halfway down the fairway to the surrounding bunkers, which some of them do tend to pull and swallow golf balls into a bunker, or at least back into little swells around the bunker. So they're going to be pretty speedy. They were hoping that they would be around a 12 on the stimp, but I don't think that's even going to get there from day one. I think they're going to be too receptive, and they're going to be kind of slow. Even if they have dried out a little bit, they're not going to be in the conditions that I think that regulators were hoping to get out of the cutting and rolling for this week and prepping it for the Maybank. So as for the faves and fades, starting off with number 1, we're going Hannah Green. She's had a pretty good stretch of 6 weeks of play, a couple cuts, yes, but looks like she may be trending in the right direction. You guys know me, I usually don't try to take people too early on an uptick, but the course history, familiarity, which isn't long for her, but she did finish T6 here last year, and coming off, I believe it was a T5 last week. She could probably build on that. I can't imagine her not falling too far out of range for any place that I feel like I'm going to put her with whatever wager. Oh, good news is I will go out a little bit on a limb. I'm not sponsored. This isn't anything new. You guys know I do daily fantasy, so DraftKings always has the LPGA side to choose from. But this week, even though it's not a major, it could be more because of the quality of competition. Bet365 is currently allowing all the way to a top 20 finish. So You guys have heard me talk over and over again. It happens a lot in majors where they might even go up to top 25 in being able to predict finishes for players. Well, this week is up to a top 20. I'm hoping that becomes more of a trend rather than just the higher quality tournaments, but at least it's a step in the right direction. So it makes it a lot easier to be able to expand my list, include other players who, other than top 10s, it's really hard to mark where they could end up placing, especially if they're playing well. You just never know when that hiccup is, where they go from T4, solo second, and all of a sudden they miss a cut and they're back on it, top 10, top 10, top 20. So it gives you a little more of a fighting chance. So yeah, Hannah Green, one of my faves. Obviously, Gina Thidikon, she has had a fantastic year, just the model of consistency, and I don't know, her play is just fantastic at the moment. Rarely any flaws you could really pick out for her, and especially at any time this year, her low points were some people's best points. So you can't leave her off the list. Going back to the well for Sei Young Kim, she is playing really well. She has gradually risen throughout the season, even though we had bet on her a few times last year. She has very steadily climbed and ended up in the top 20s, top 10s, and of course, winning last week. And a name you hadn't heard in my faves for a while is Celine Boutier. T45 was her lowest over the last 5 weeks, but within that, you had 22, 9, and T3. I think that may be a trend in the right direction. She had a monstrous year last year. I mean, similar to the run this season for Gina Thidikon, Celine was going through that last year, and I think we're all waiting for her to kind of build on that and do the same, but I don't know. She hasn't dealt with any injuries. There hasn't been any talk of her struggles in any particular category. I think there may have just been some players who've been really outpacing even their own expectations. Some of these rookies have been ridiculous. The Iway sisters, Rio Takeda, I mean, those lists are going to continue, but I think with the rise of some of those, Celine just kind of fell back a little bit, but I'm ready to take her here, especially with some of those stats. And then a little bit of a sleeper, we're going with Weiling Su, or She, depending on where you're getting your pronunciation from. She's made 5 straight cuts, and overall, with the strokes gained at a 1.09, her weakest ones are going to be putting and off the tee, but everything else is, late teens, early 20s. And this, more than anything, is probably going to be where I pick and choose and think that with her scrambling ability, she may be able to pull out a top 20 or maybe even a top 10 out of nowhere. It's going to be one of those things. But if I don't end up taking her in a bet, DFS may be a really good spot to take someone of value like her. Same goes for Mi-Hyung Lee. I very much think that with her top 30s, top 40s finishes, you can count on her to make the cut. You can continue to count on her throughout the weekend to gain you points, but I don't think she'll make a lot of noise at the top of the leaderboard. But another value type of pick when you're looking at her statistics and kind of where she's been playing with and where she's finished throughout the last few months. And another one for a DFS consideration is probably Grace Kim. You just look at her finishes, kind of the same deal. She's worked really well to make a lot of cuts, and when she does make some noise, she all of a sudden vaults from the 30s, 40s finishes to a top 4. Last week was her second best finish. I believe it was a top 5. So you'll kind of take that right there. And then as for, you know what? I had a late entry there, but maybe it shouldn't be a surprise. Nasa Haraoka, her last 6 starts, she's finished in the single digit places, 5 of them. So you're looking at T4, 5, 7, and a 2. You can't ignore the way she's going, and most of this year, I don't think I've bet on her other than maybe individualistic type of 3-ball or, 72-hole matches where she may be coming off a really good performance the week prior. So this week, this is another one. Someone trending in the right direction, someone who's looking to capitalize on maybe not leaning on staring at her season-long statistics, but the actual trend of, say, the last 5, 6, maybe even as far as 8 weeks, and noticing the kind of a green line in the right direction. And I don't know if she's even peaking yet, but she's getting there. So maybe we catch her on the easy, on the good side this time around. Now, in terms of the fades, no disrespect, I just think that with the competition as it stands right now, the Iway sisters, I may just keep on the bench right now. Look, they've made me a good amount of money. If you've been betting the same way, they've probably done well for you as well. But overall, the faves in this particular week definitely outshine anyone I'm putting on this list. Another one is Runing Yin. She's played here well before. I'm just not all that impressed with the stats of where they are right now. Brooke Henderson, I keep waiting for her to follow up with not so great of a tournament, and maybe I am in the dead wrong here, but I'm going to leave her on the fade list. Again, these names are ones I've gambled on all year, I've been paying attention to, but the other side is really where I'm going to place money. Rio Takeda, that's a usual common name in the good list, but I'm going to stay away from her. One that doesn't need too much of an explanation though is Lottie Wode. She had a really hot start, fairly decent middle of the season, but she's fading a little bit. Still playing well enough, obviously, top 30s, top 20s finishes, but after that win, actually after that stretch of a month, she's kind of cooled off a little bit. And cooling off is a relative term. She had a great year overall, but I think I'm just going to continue to stay away from her until I can find some consistency with her play. And then the same, I hate to put her here, but Ayaka Furue, kind of the same deal. A player who has, for the most part, all of last year and the better part of this year, finished in the top 10s, top 20s, a couple wins. But as of right now, you're looking at her in, the 30s, 40s range of finishes. And as many tournaments as I've watched, nothing's really stuck out to me again for any deficiencies in her game. It just seems like, unfortunately, she has a round or two even in the middle where she's, 73, 75. And then the other 2 rounds would consist of 62, 65. So she definitely has those early round low points, but enough to recover on the next day or give herself a good lead on the first day and then kind of fumble on day 3 or 4. So I can't put my finger on it. There's just a day or two where her scores are so high, it kind of kicks her out of contention. But I don't know. I think this is just a little part of the end of the year kind of deal. Maybe a little fatigue. I don't know. There's nothing I can put my finger on from what I've seen just on TV. Don't think there's an injury either, but just the whole, that whole part of what we've come to know her as a player and how well she can perform, not up to those standards. So it's just it's a big name that I'm just going to have to leave off this list, and probably off a list for any sort of prop bets and matchups. So as I kind of check off what I'm going to bet on here, especially since I have narrowed it down as to what site I'll be betting on this week, we'll start off with the top 20 finishes. So I'm going Grace Kim plus 180, Wei Ling Shi at plus 290. And then top 10s, I'm going with Sei Young Kim. Hopefully she just builds off what she did last week, but everyone's kind of expecting that as well. It's almost even money. It's plus 110. And the Hannah Green pick, not only because of her history here and just recently last year, but it looks like she may be trending upwards, and I think I want to catch that, especially at plus 350. So I don't have too much of a problem with potentially getting those odds for somebody that may be just starting to come in their own for the season. And then top 5 picks, and I don't see any reason that these 3 can't make all of them anyway. So it's going to be Celine Boutier at plus 370, Nasahara Oka at plus 250, and then Gino Didagong for plus 110. That very well could end up being 3 of the top 5, and no one would be surprised. And then first round leaders, I think I'm going with Sei Young Kim plus 1800, Somi Lee at plus 2500, Haejin Choi at plus 2000, and then Andrea Lee at 2800. Not sure if this is going to be a wire to wire. I even thought about the prop bet of going for to win by X amount of strokes. I think 3 might be the magic number. I don't think it'll be a runaway. I think they may be able to pull away towards the end, but I don't see a wire to wire coming. And I mean, if I'm going to have to take a winner, I would dare say that there's going to be another first-time winner this year to finish this one off. And then there were 2 other groups that I was looking at. I think the one that gets green light is going to be Group E. So if you have that option of Hannah Green versus Nana Quartz Madsen versus Lynn Grant versus Lindy Duncan versus Yulimi No, Hannah Green at plus 320. Not too shabby. I think I'd take that. And against that specific field, I think she stands a good chance. She's one of the 2 lower numbers that you can take from that grouping. So again, that's Group E. And then the opening round matchup, Minami Katsu at minus 130 versus Lynn Grant. I don't think that will be as dominating as a minus 130. I think it'll be closer to even money, but if anything, I think she may pour in something like a 70-71, and Lynn Grant may be around even or even a plus number. So that's where I'm going this week with the LPGA. Again, not going to deal too much with the DP World Tour this week. Maybe live bets, but more often than not, I'll probably be paying attention more to college football and watching this. So if I do, obviously check it out on Twitter and Instagram, and check it out on the Facebook fan page. You'll definitely see all of that there. But as of right now, that's kind of where I'm going to stay. And if you don't hear an added segment, then this is pretty much the finalized and edited version of where I was going. So guys, enjoy. Happy hunting to you. Hopefully you all make some money this weekend along with me. If you don't and you fade me, hey, make some money that way. What do I care? Again, I'm no gambling expert, so feel free to do what you want with these picks. I enjoy doing it, so I might as well throw it out to an audience who kind of appreciates the coverage of LPGA, and for most weeks, obviously not this one, for DP World Tour. Guys, appreciate you listening. Again, tell your friends, subscribe, check it out. Hopefully make some money with us. I'm RP. This is Podcast and Regulation. We'll see you next week with a recap and a preview of the following tournaments. Later.